Hello, beautiful friends. It is that season again, when memes are abundant, when conversations about miscommunication and doomed travel plans and horrible paperwork are around every corner. And as many of you know, this is also known as Mercury Retrograde, which we work with every few months. It happens about 3 times a year, and we're back here again. And if you've been with me for a little while, you know that I really don't take that approach to Mercury retrograde. I think it's hilarious, but I don't really put too much effort or emphasis on planning my life around Mercury retrograde. I have done plenty of things in my life during Mercury retrograde, including travel and signing documents and all sorts of things. And I think it's really about the level of self-trust we have that we've built over time. And I definitely have a lot more self-trust, and I don't let myself be whipped around by the current popular opinion. And that's actually going to be one of the core things we're going to be working with this Mercury retrograde, is going to be not getting pulled around in every direction by popular trends and phases, but really coming back home to ourselves. But like I mentioned, if you've been with me for a while, I tend to sit down every single time there's a Mercury retrograde and just kind of reclaim this conversation a little bit, get us set up for a healthier dynamic with it, feel through some of the poetry that I think Mercury retrograde really presents to us. It's so rhythmic, the way that Mercury moves with us. It's a close by friend. And I think because it's woven into our lives and into every year, the way that it moves through like this, it's a really beautiful place to actually connect with ourselves more and the rhythmic creation of our world. Mercury retrograde really allows us to step out of this idea of linear progression, of this idea of self-improvement and pushing forward, of the creative process being just an ABC process and not one that is more circular and up and down and release and growth and stepping back and stepping forward. I think Mercury retrograde is a lot more aware of that creative process, of when you're working on a novel or you're working on an idea, you don't just sit down at the desk and write it from beginning to end and say, done. You write a section, you delete some of it because you realize you don't want that section in there. You start again. You start from a different angle. You throw something out. You begin again. You have days where you question it all. Mercury retrograde really works much more honestly with that creative process. And that's why I love its weaving, wending movement through our visual perspective of it. And it helps us to step out of linear time, out of expectations that we get things done in a specific order, in a specific way, at a specific date, at a specific age. And it's just got a lot of medicine to it. I personally was born with Mercury retrograde, and I know a lot of us are. And maybe that's part of the reason that for me, it feels a little bit more innate and natural. And it's way more the way that I work with and see the world, honestly. So I actually kind of look forward to Mercury retrograde, if I could say so myself. But let's get into this particular Mercury retrograde because I love the themes of it. And I think it's fun to explore. What does it mean to have Mercury, the messenger, the big mover that's able to move very quickly between the worlds? Mercury is very important in the alchemical world, as well as being able to modulate between different worlds. So Mercury is the storyteller and is also able to bridge the gap between different parts of ourselves, the hidden, the unseen, the practical, the physical, the parts of ourselves that are going through big transformation. Mercury is able to access all of that. And that's one of the beautiful aspects of mercurial energy. Now in Capricorn, it's bringing us back to the way we take care of our foundations and our root systems, how we create structure and care for ourselves without this being about punishment or imprisonment. It's very, very important that when we're working with Capricorn energy, which we are working with quite deeply here during this Capricorn season, that we are learning how to self-parent, that we are learning how to give ourselves support without it being a dynamic that involves self-punishment and some of those older generational painful ways of moving through. This particular Mercury retrograde is happening starting on December 29th at 24 degrees of Capricorn and ends on January 19th at 8 degrees of Capricorn. And so it'll be going on for pretty much all of Capricorn season, a good chunk of it at any rate. It's always about 3 weeks. And during this retrograde, when it stations retrograde, it's going to actually be very close to Pluto and Venus, who are both in Capricorn as well. And I think this starts off a conversation about our safety in change, our empowerment in change. It also sparks a conversation about the empowerment that comes when we are not pulled around by trends and what's popular and moving through very floaty and fluffy and bubbly over the surface of things, and really getting back to our core selves. This Mercury retrograde really helps us to have those conversations and to feel connected with ourselves. So I just wanted to take a moment to go through the themes that I noticed for this Mercury retrograde. Take them as you will. Make your Mercury retrograde your own. There is no outside authority that gets to decide what it means for you or how it feels or what role it will play in your life. It can play no role if you want to. So just putting that out there before we get into these themes. So, theme number 1, big one, not comparing ourselves to others. This is a practice that is helpful in all life, in all times, in all seasons. But I think right now, Capricorn's energy is really about owning your signature energetic. And we're always comparing ourselves to others. Oh, that creator's doing that thing over there. That person's already at this level in the company. That person's already been married for 5 years. I don't know. There's some interesting ways we compare with ourselves with others as well. But this is a really wonderful time to notice when we're doing that and to take a breath and redirect to understanding that we work in our own rhythmic timing, each unique to each person as they move through life. Like I mentioned, freeing ourselves from trends and passing popularity things. This is a wonderful time to kind of step back from some of the fast fashion stuff, from, following trendy things on social media. This is a wonderful time to reclaim your attention and really let it be about what really feeds your soul beyond all of that noise. Taking back the power of our intention, being more present in our lived physical environments. So this is a really great time to, just kind of to step away from the digital world and be here in our actual surroundings. Be really, really present. This is a wonderful time to practice that. I think one of my favorite themes that I noticed for this Mercury retrograde is honoring that we have limitations and that we have physical environments that we live in. We have bodies that might have different conditions, different limitations. We might be in an environment that has certain elements to it. And I think it's beautiful that we feel empowered to wish and dream and direct our energy and steer our course. Of course, there is always an element of that in our lives, and it's a beautiful thing to build on and practice and explore. I'm big on enjoying some Abraham Hicks sometimes, but I think we need both. That is beautiful. And it's also okay to acknowledge where we just have a physical limitation. It might be something that happens in the season that we're in that life. It might be something that's a part of the innate fabric of the life that we are living. But regardless, that we stop berating ourselves for some of those limitations and instead maybe imagine some ways we can work with them and honor them and explore them and get creative with them. I think this is a beautiful Mercury retrograde for that. It's going to actually make me emotional. I think there are so many people who feel like, they might have a condition or they might have just a real limitation that feel like there's something so wrong with them and they just need to think their way into a better place. But I think sometimes that pressure to think our way into a better place is really counterproductive. And when we just give some grace to those limitations and then start to get curious about them, that can be a place of really interesting conversations and deepening connections with those around us as well. And I think it's so beautiful. And then, of course, the final theme that is always going to be a constant when we're working with Capricorn energy is working with our inner parent and learning to build a really beautiful relationship with that inner parent that wants to help give us structure and a safe place in the world. So really working creatively with that and being proactive in exploring that conversation that you might have with that part of yourself that wants to develop safe spaces for you. It's going to be really beautiful. So all in all, it's really about pulling our attention back to ourselves here in this moment and finding so much magic and wisdom and empowerment and possibility in that. And that's really the core of it. I love it. I am so excited for this. Please let me know if you've watched this far. You are a true friend. If you have watched this far, please leave a comment about what Mercury retrograde means to you. Did you have it in your birth chart? Are you also a Mercury retrograde baby like I was? Do you feel disconnected from Mercury in general? Does it frustrate you? How do you feel about this transit and this planet and this energetic? I would love to hear your thoughts on that, so please let me know. I would love to see you over on my Patreon. We are currently doing Softly Crossing the Threshold into a New Year. It is a wonderful 4-week series where I just help us softly open up to the new year without it being about pressure and self-improvement and all of that stuff. I would love to see you there for that. It is available to all patrons that sign up. Right now, it is available. I'd love to see you there. I would also love to see you on my Instagram and of course my website and anywhere you can find me. And I would love it if you stuck around here. We have so much more to redefine and take back our empowerment with in this world of astrology. There's so much that just needs a moment of justice and clarity and deeper wisdom. And I am here to serve it. I am ready to serve it. Let's go. So I hope to see you around here. Please subscribe and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.